Hello and welcome to the next episode of the Altered States podcast with myself, Josh Gape, and Harry Williams. How's it going? How you alright?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, mate. Yeah, we're just sort of like currently in the throes of pre-season, so quite a lot of hard work, but it's good, man. Like I like it, sort of get your weekends off and like 5 days in, so it's like a different focus. And a lot of the time, especially towards the end of last season, like the S&C took such a hit because there was so much general fatigue around the squad that you kind of get a real opportunity to like just focus in on like S&C and do different stuff now. And no, it's been pretty decent. How are you doing?
Yeah, all good, mate. Been busy with work stuff. Obviously, we launched the our nose to tail bundle today with like the colostrum and the beef organs. So been setting all the stuff up for that.
When's the different aspects of the cow?
We've got the next two coming in October. So they actually come. We're shipping everything. So all our next lot of products coming in from New Zealand.
Yeah.
So the beef organs and all that is going to be New Zealand sourced because it's higher in micronutrients. But we've got the collagen and the bone extract coming in September, October time. And then we've got the other ones all coming towards the end of the year, the fish eggs and all that sort of stuff.
Is there the blood?
Yeah, we're thinking about doing a blood. Yeah, and we're thinking
the testicle, bull testicle.
Yeah, I'm genuinely thinking about doing a testicle. Yeah, the whole cow. Yeah,
the entire cow.
Yeah, going to do a few different ones, like maybe like guts, like intestines and all that sort of stuff.
Does the testicle increase libido?
So the idea behind it is like it's kind of like a like for like scenario, if you know what I mean. So like ancient wisdom, like ancestral, like Native Americans used to say, if you've got the like a bad heart, you should eat the heart of a healthy cow. Well, it's the same idea with the testicle, I suppose.
But where did these elders get their wisdom from?
Well, so this is the thing, right? So there's studies going on out of the University of Edinburgh at the moment, which is actually like confirming this shit. That like the like the component parts of, so say for example the heart example, if you eat heart, that'll actually like preferentially go to rebuilding your own heart when you eat it. It's pretty fascinating stuff. The wisdom has been validated by modern day science.
But so if you had like a poorly eye, you should eat the eye of the animal.
Yeah, and this is one of my theories that I feel that eye health is going to get significantly worse in the future because of like devices. Like we've never like blasted our eyes with devices. That's actually a very good
point. I've never even thought about that.
Yeah. So I really think eye products might be the way of the future.
There's another bull eye range coming out.
I would love to do an eye product.
The eye and testicle.
Yeah, the eye and testicle combo. Yeah.
No, in the morning, right? How long is it before you reach for your blower?
You wake up?
Yeah.
Probably about an hour.
You're always up for an hour before you do it.
Yeah.
See, I leave it for like a 10-15 minutes, but then I'm on it. Like I am.
Yeah.
Catching up on my articles.
I don't know. I try to, because I always find that my mind comes like, I get proper housefly mind. Like a housefly just like buzzing around the room, like knocking into the walls and all over the place.
Yeah.
Like that's how I feel.
Is that an expression? Honestly, I'm not like trying to be facetious. I've never heard that expression before.
Yeah, I don't know. I suppose like I've heard the guy that taught us meditation, which was like, he was quite a strange fella. So I don't know whether it's like his niche expression or
so what you saying it dumbs you down?
I just think like my attention span, my ability to focus gets massively decreased when I go on my phone, especially on like social media, like when you're scrolling. So like I try and leave it for as long as possible in the morning before I check it, because I like to go through like my morning ritual, and I feel that like if I go on my phone and then try and do the morning ritual, it's like I can never concentrate like I'd like to on it.
That's I know what you mean. It's a weird. Actually, no, it's a weird one because I have it as well. When like you know you have like something comes into the forefront of your mind, and you're like, oh, I've got to do that, and then like a second later you'll go to do it on your phone and it'll be gone. Like, oh, I need to. Oh yeah, it'll be something like I wanted to search. Like
Yeah.
it could be anything, and you get and something else. You do one other task in the meantime, like have a glass of water, and then you go to your phone to do it, and you're like, literally can't remember what on earth it is. And then sometimes that happens, and it makes me quite scared.
Yeah, yeah, mate. It's definitely a problem, man. Like I think attention span's getting absolutely zapped by these apps for sure.
But also on like I suppose it's something that I find, and there's actually been a lot of coverage about it recently in the news, is like the head trauma and stuff associated with rugby.
Yeah.
And that's kind of because we were going to talk about food and nutrition and stuff, and this is probably a decent little segue into it, I guess. Is what to say someone's suffering quite badly with a head knock or concussion or something like that, and we were speaking about it the other day. Like it seems like quite an outlandish thing to say, but like your nutrition could help that.
Oh yeah, 100%.
How does that work, and what steps would you make? Would it have to be quite a severe change? Would it have to be very strict?
Well, not necessarily. So basically what happens when you take a head knock is your brain becomes glucose intolerant for a certain like time period.
Yeah.
Say it can be up to like 2 weeks post so say you get a head injury playing rugby, what's it like HIA, and then
HIA.
And then how does that work? You get head injury assessment, and then if you pass or fail.
So basically if you get a knock on a pitch, you've got a doctor. It's actually because the thing is, it is quite a grey area with the whole of head knocks in general.
Yeah.
But like, if you get a head knock on a pitch and you start doing the stanky leg and you're all over the place, a doctor can pull you off the pitch if he thinks you're acting in a strange or unconventional manner.
Yeah.
But if you get knocked spark out, it's at least a week every time. So if you're out, the head shot doesn't matter. You've automatically failed it. If you're acting in this sort of unconventional way and you go in, you basically get asked a series of questions. You do some balance tests. They ask you to like remember a series of words like apple, elbow, carpet, saddle, bobble. Repeat back to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then but you got to do that. And there's like 10 words and stuff like this. But the thing is, the test gets repeated, so there are like ways around it. Like if you kept doing it, you would remember the questions. So
is that what you say when you see someone take a knock and then they take them off down the tunnel? Yeah, they're literally doing that in the changing rooms.
They take them to the doctor's room. So there's a doctor's room at every stadium. Yeah. Where there'll be, and normally it's an independent doctor does the questions with them and stuff like that, and the balance test.
Okay.
And if you fail any lower than your baseline, I think it's an automatic fail, or you get like a certain percent under. So say you would have answered 9 out of the 10 prior. I think if you answered like 7, you're done.
Oh right, so they've got like a record of you, like.
You do a baseline at the start of the year.
Okay.
You do on a scat. There's a scat test, which is to start with like cards on a computer screen, which is like very boring, but use all one reaction times on this mouse.
Yeah.
And then they do the HIA assessment, which is the premier. But it changes like all since the amount of pastoral care since I started the league so I started playing Premiership in like 2016. 2015 was when I was training. The amount it's changed has been quite a lot in the way it's reffed and how seriously it's taken. I can't imagine like years before that. I can imagine it was quite a lot more rogue than it is now.
Well, it was non-existent, right, up until fairly recently.
Yeah, I think it was non-existent. Yeah, I think it was just like, well, obviously there's like a macho element to the sport, isn't there? So it's, stop being a pussy, that sort of attitude. Yeah. Which is actually, now if it looks at it, it's like stupid. But I had a bad one because I live with him, Gareth from uni. Yeah, Shout out Gareth if you're listening. And he had a really bad head knock in Jersey because we lived in Jersey together.
Uh-huh.
And like I found like my sympathy was like very limited, and now looking back, like it's permanently affected his life. Like he was in a dark room for like weeks, months even. Couldn't listen to a podcast, couldn't look at any screens. As soon as he tried to exercise, was like back in the whole situation.
Was it one incident?
I think it was one acute incident. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure how it might have like hit his head once out and then play because in the championship is even like. In the championship, even when I was playing, which wasn't, it was like 7 years ago, was nothing. There was nothing.
Yeah.
Like, where it was down to the physio's discretion. So if they haven't picked something up, like with Premiership, there's all cameras and stuff on the pitch. On the Championship, there isn't any. There's no TMO. There's nothing. So if something happens and no one sees you, like no one knows it's gone on.
Yeah.
But I was like, I want to fucking like in my head, get on with it. But like, I know you can't. Like, and you can't now. It permanently affects your life.
Well, it's difficult to relate, isn't it, when you haven't experienced something yourself?
Yeah.
You're seeing it now more and more. Like when I was on the BBC sports page the other day, and there was like a whole section of articles on people that were suffering with head injuries post career.
Yeah.
And like there's a big lawsuit going on now, isn't there, against the RFU or something with people?
Yeah. Like loads of former players are basically, but some of them I think, and I don't know the names of, but I've heard that some of them are like in quite serious. Have quite serious problems. Like.
Yeah,
but it's kind of a weird. This is what I say to like it. There are no old professional rugby players. Like we're kind of like the generation before and us are like the first full time have played all the way through. So only became professional like how many 25, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So there's no like you know what the effect boxing has on, because there's like old boxers, like 80, 90 years old.
Yeah.
So you see the kind of effects it has on them, but there are no old rugby players, so no one is fully aware of the effects.
And especially over the last, I don't know, 5-10 years, the aggression level in the sport. Like you watch that Lions series that's just happened, the level, the impact and collisions and that were ridiculous. I don't think I've ever watched 3 games on the bounce where like people have gone through that intense.
The one for this
what's just happened. It was fully intense, and it's like, if the game keeps moving in that direction, because people just, it's like getting to like kind of American football levels. Well, not quite yet, but like it's going that way in terms of the level of athletes and like the size of the guys. It's, people are just getting bigger, more athletic, faster, stronger, more powerful, all that stuff. So the level of collisions are only going to get bigger and bigger. Yeah,
and more organised, I'd say, because we watched the Lions game, which was from this series. But then after the game came on, the second test from 2009 came on, so that was on as well, which we watched as well. Absolute rugby nauseous.
It's a good game.
It's a great game. I'll tell you what, the squads are unbelievable, legendary. But the tackles were like big, and they weren't refereeing them anywhere near as harshly. So I had someone I was thinking there were bigger impacts, but I think nowadays everyone's way more organised. So you're in a better position defensively to make more dominant shots. You know what I mean? But the players still proper threw it about, and there were some massive hits. But it seemed like the defences just weren't as together.
Yeah.
So there weren't those opportunities. There was way more breaks and stuff. It was quite a lot more exciting. It was a very exciting game.
Yeah, well, it was way more exciting. Like obviously now it's a bit, it's all about kick, compete. But we're digressing a bit from the nutritional point. It was like, so the point I was making with that is like, obviously they're putting a huge amount of emphasis at the moment into rugby, and the fact that they're being very cognizant in terms of head knocks. And I think it's good what they've done, because taking kind of the responsibility out of the player and the coach's hands, because like you said, as a player, you kind of never maybe want to admit that you've had a head knock. So it's good that they've got people like watching out for this and kind of taking that decision out of your hands to some extent. Obviously there's, I'm sure, people that get head knocks and continue playing and kind of get away with it and stuff. And I was thinking earlier as well, when you talked about the test, surely you could kind of purposely get a lower score on the test at the beginning of the season, so your baseline maybe isn't as high. So there'd be ways around it, but what I find kind of fascinating is like from a nutritional standpoint, there's quite a lot of research coming out that like when you take a head knock in that way, that your brain becomes glucose intolerant, but because your brain is injured in that moment, it's actually trying to get more energy in because it's trying to heal itself, and it creates this situation where it's trying to suck glucose in do the healing process, but it actually can't because it's glucose intolerant because of the head knock. So it kind of further injures itself through this process of like trying to suck stuff in when it can't.
But what? Just quickly, why does it become glucose intolerant? Do they know that?
No, I'm not sure of. So someone may know, but like I don't know the details behind that. But I've got a really good article on it, which I'll link it in the show notes if anyone wants to dive into the details more. But the point that I make to people is, well, during that period when your brain is glucose intolerant, the ideal thing to do is still give it energy so it can heal itself, and you can give it in the form of fat and ketones. But the problem is with sports like rugby, when athletes are so carbohydrate dependent that they're not metabolically flexible, they can't efficiently use fat as a fuel source. So what I advise people to do, and it's like what I advise you to do, and I know Max does it and stuff, is like on off days eat higher fat, lower carb days, and then by doing that your body becomes efficient at using fat as a fuel source. And then say you do get a head knock playing rugby, and you've got to take a week, 10 days or a week off or whatever it is, then during that period you can go really low carb. You don't need those carbohydrates for an energy source. You're efficient at using fat because you've been training your body to be able to use fat over a long time period, and then you can go into like almost a ketogenic state for that week, 10 days, and then during that time you're giving your brain ketones so it can heal itself, and you're not further exacerbating this damage because it's not looking for energy source in the form of glucose that it can't get.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It makes sense, yeah, but like how, so say you went into you had this head knock, this head trauma, and you went into this high fat state, what kind of like percentage fat diet would you have to be eating?
So I'd recommend people, so what I always say with carbohydrates, for me personally, and I think it's all different, so it's a very broad ranging topic, and I think it comes back to ancestry ultimately, like what your biology set up to eat. So like someone like ourselves, we got like fair skin, fair hair, we're like so I've actually done my ancestry and traced it back, and it goes back to Scandinavia. Do
you believe that, do you?
Well, yeah. I think so, maybe, yeah.
I don't know, I think you like send a bit of like peach in it and it come back as like
yeah, maybe
25% Mongolian,
yeah, maybe
50% Italian.
But
I don't know. Yeah, sorry, that's a different.
Yeah, but just
bollocks, M-test, absolute bollocks. Like.
Just from looking at someone, like looking at yourself.
You look quite Scandinavian.
Yeah, okay. So and yourself, right? So
Scandinavian.
Yeah, I'd say. But like someone like that, your ancestors are probably used to eating like a way higher fat and protein diet because the areas they've grown up the areas your ancestors have come from, right? The ground freezes in the winter, little to no fruit or vegetables grow during that time, so they would have become nomadic people for the vast majority of human existence and hunted animals for protein and fat, and that's how they would have survived.
Yeah.
So like our biology set up to eat that way. Is different in the tropics, where you've got people from like say Hawaii that have got year-round access to fruit and vegetables, and their ancestors would have. So people like that can tolerate a higher amount of carbohydrates.
Yeah.
Now I've got like, there's kind of a caveat within that, in that we've genetically modified fruit and vegetables, or we've like bred out species of fruits and vegetables, so we've just got like the sweetest stuff left basically because it sells the best.
Yeah.
So a banana now compared to a banana 200 years ago, the sugar content's going to be way higher now.
Is that right?
Yeah, for sure.
But how is that? Where do they breed out the sour bananas?
So there would have been like say for the UK, like something that's really good, like native to the UK is like apples. There would have been like a massive variety of apples like around the UK, and what they've done is they've just like basically picked the sweetest ones and then decided to grow those en masse.
Like Granny Smith.
Yeah, like a Granny Smith. I don't know specifically what ones are like native to the UK, but you get the idea.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
So.
Oh right, so the cooking apples, they would have just like.
Yeah, maybe like grown less of them or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
Yeah, so you get me. So where was I? I was talking about so percentage of carbohydrates. Yeah, so for someone like ourselves, I would say just eat carbohydrate relative to your activity level as a general rule of thumb. So if you've taken a head knock and you're having a week off and you're like, taking it, during that week, if you've got HIA or you've had a positive assessment or whatever, you wouldn't be doing any activity, I'm guessing. They just tell you
they grade you back in. If basically the way it works is, so the first day you do like a light cycle, second day some light weights, Thursday run. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you start getting if you get symptomatic at any point, you have to basically restart the whole week.
Yeah. Okay. Got you.
So it's pretty good. It's not. There's been no system that's perfect for it, and this is what I think every players, when they come into the league, should have to have a brain scan. So they basically find out your chemical levels in your brain, because everyone's levels are different, aren't they? So they actually look at your levels after you had a head knock, and they don't know what the baseline is, so you don't really know. So someone could have like low serotonin, but they might have a hereditary levels of low serotonin anyway.
Yeah, makes sense.
So I don't know, maybe, the RFU should look at that, in my opinion. But that's just
I'm
one guy.
Yeah. So what I would say to people is just generally, like, I'd say around like 50 to 100 grams as baseline of carbohydrate is all right in terms of getting fruit and vegetables and stuff like that in. Then everything else on top of that should be activity dependent. That's what I believe. So it's like, say for example you're doing a big weight session, whatever, you could chuck another 50 to 100 grams of carbs in and around that training session.
In in reference to that, what do you make of this whole? Because sort of obviously you used to play rugby, and there's like the whole like carb loading.
Yeah,
that situation.
Yeah.
The night before a game, you have like a whole pasta bake, 3 flapjacks.
Yeah, well, you do, or you used to.
Do you like to say you had a big weight session the next morning? So say it's pre-season now.
Yeah.
And you had a big weight session the next morning. Would having rice the night before benefit you for that session?
Yes, excuse me. You want to get your, you want to have your like glycogen stores basically full to be able to like use those during the training session, and then after the training session you want to replenish them to be able to utilize them again at a later training session, especially when you're doing like 2 a days or whatever you're doing, when you might be doing multiple training sessions in a day. But I think people massively over egg that situation, when people are like, all right, I'm gonna carbo load the night before a race, and they eat like a massive pasta baker baguette, and you know what I mean, it's just completely way too much. And you can speak for this from experience.
Well,
right?
I can do, like I do still. Well, the thing that I actually, to be honest with you, the thing that I like, the 2 things that I remember speaking to you about, and I remember me and Jay, another friend of ours, who we'll have on the pod at some point, who were like walk around, you're just talking, and you're both talking about like meat and stuff, and I was just like, it was something that I'd never really heard about before, about the quality of meat.
Yeah.
But then you like put it as like whatever you're eating, whatever the thing you've eaten's eaten.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So like you're eating these. And there's levels to this as well, because like if say you eat like a chicken that's been eating this just shit food, like I can't even imagine the kind of food battery farmed hens get fed. It must it doesn't really
poor bogus
bear thinking about.
Yeah,
but that stuff, you're basically ingesting that because that goes into what their like muscle fibers or whatever, same as it would for us.
Yeah.
Like if you were eating a human being, you wouldn't want to eat, like I don't know. That's my 600-pound life person. You'd want to eat Usain Bolt, probably.
Yeah. Well, the saying I think you were looking for was like, you are what you eat, ate. If that makes sense.
Well, it's better than you are what you've eaten has eaten.
Yeah.
But you said that, and also like just trying to eat things that just aren't like processed, which sounds like real basic, but then it's like, and I felt like an immediate, like I don't know, energy levels were way. Even when I sort of eat more higher carbs and stuff, I don't eat as high fat, because sometimes I did feel it made my energy dip a little bit, which maybe wasn't, especially when we get more kind of in season stuff. But it was more just, and it felt way cleaner, like my energy and stuff like that, and I just farted way less. That's generally, I don't know, it was because I just sort of came into this before that. So it's probably like 2.5 years ago. Before sort of like started making like sort of slight change, I used to think it was like proper normal just to fart the entire time.
Not a sign of like very good gut microbiome.
I actually thought it was quite a manly trait.
All those protein shakes.
Yeah, just like those and actually, and to be honest with you, and drinking less protein shakes.
Yeah.
Or drinking less things in shake form.
Yeah.
Because I actually don't. I almost think it's like, it's kind of now. It just, I don't know. It feels like when I'm drinking, it doesn't. They're not like pleasant. Yeah, I don't know. It's almost, I think almost if your brain has a reaction to drinks like that, it's like wincing a bit. It's almost like going to create more of a stress reaction than the benefits of drinking protein.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's so many different routes we can go down with what you just said. I think with the food in general, like just eating less processed food. That's one of the things it's just such a basic bit of advice that you can give to people.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think people don't even realize like the real layman's way I like to tell people is like, if you look at a bit of food and you look at the ingredients list and you don't recognize words on that ingredients list, you should probably just put it back.
Yeah.
And then the other big one is like hydrogenated vegetable oils.
Yeah.
So like they are like sunflower oil and stuff like that, and rapeseed oil. It's like in pretty much everything, like cookies, crisps.
That's actually mad as well, because you said to me like the rapeseed oil and the palm oil and stuff like that, and I was like, something I never even thought about before. And then like you look at anything packaged, really prepackaged like sun-dried tomatoes, rapeseed oil, or like nuts cooked in palm oil. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I didn't even really notice before.
Yeah.
Or didn't even like even look into it, and thought it was just like, but you see it is genuinely is in everything, like. Yeah,
for sure. And that the kind of way to explain that is like, we've got an omega-3 to omega-6 ratio, right? So everyone knows about like eating fatty fish to get omega-3, right? So historically, like if you look at our ancestry, you would have had like an omega-3 to omega-6 ratio of like 1-to-1, or some people will say it was like 1-to-6. So say for you've got an equal amount, if it was 1-to-1, you've got an equal amount of omega-3 to omega-6 in your body. Now, like the general person has like, it's like a 1-to-10 or 1-to-20 ratio. So you've got way more omega-6 to omega-3, and that's massively pro-inflammatory to the body. And when you're eating those hydrogenated vegetables, that's what you're doing. You're just knocking that out of balance. And like the way, you know, like for yourself, you're a pro athlete, so you know that you need to be feeding your body the best fuel. Like if you had a Ferrari, right, you wouldn't like just fill it with shit and drive it around. You know, you'd fill it with the best possible like gas. It's the same thing with the food you're putting into your body.
But before we'd spoken, though, no one had ever even mentioned like eating organically or not eating it. No, it was never, because most people's approach to diet, or whatever it is, just like the free macronutrients. You know, which I don't know, but that does seem like quite a good starting block, though. Do you know what I mean? What,
macronutrients?
Yeah,
it is, and like, and you know, you go to any PT, and that's like the majority of them, if they will, you know, coach nutrition, that's what they'll start you with, right? Like, what's your macronutrient ratios? You know, do you want to lose or gain weight? What's your basal metabolic rate? And they'll set you up in that way. But like something that's massively overlooked by a lot of people is the micronutrients. And like macronutrients are energy. This is the way I like to explain it. So that like carbohydrate, fat, they're energy sources, whereas micronutrients is information. Like, how do you run your body? And so, for example, like a really good example of it is iron. So like we create our red blood cells from iron. Our red blood cells, how you transport oxygen around the body. Like you want optimal levels of iron because you want to be creating your red blood cells optimally. You want to be transporting oxygen optimally. Everyone wants that, and especially if you're a professional athlete.
Can you have too much iron?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can have toxic levels. So, this is, again, it's like individual. Everyone's got like individual, there's optimal ranges. So you've got like the RDA, like the recommended daily allowance, which is like the World Health Organization. But the guy I study with, Jake Carter, he calls it the recommended deficiency allowance, because it's like they set it at the level that below that level, you know, you're going to run into trouble. They don't set it, they don't have like an optimal range for it. So like the RDA,
like the lowest level you could have in order to function, basically.
Yeah, so I think like the vitamin C one set at the point at which if you were like below that, you'd basically start getting scurvy. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's nowhere near where like optimal is. So I forget the point I was saying there. RDAs. Yeah, but so what were we talking about? Processed food. I don't know, but anyway, going off on another tangent, another thing that I massively encouraged you to do when we started out was organ meat. That was one of the main things I wanted you to include in your diet. And have you noticed any difference from like including?
I think just more pep, like, really, to be honest with you. Like, I feel the same, because it was organ meat and oysters as well. Oysters were included in
Get that zinc.
You've actually really dropped off on your oyster uptake.
Yeah, I know. I don't really like oysters. That's the problem.
Well, I did see you were wincing when you used to eat them, and you pretended you were enjoying them.
I never pretended I'd do it. Mate, that's another product I want to do. I want to do oyster powder in a capsule. Be good for people like me that don't like oysters.
But the thing is, after you've had half a dozen fresh oysters, I think you feel like, I don't know, you feel like a young bull. That's what you feel like.
Just on an intuitive level, it's just like you feel like real healthy. Like that's a like proper healthy food you're putting into your body.
Yeah,
right?
Those oysters. And I know the organ meat stuff is, that's why I feel really like the capsule so much. I suppose you can taste all the ag out of it, because while I think you can, you know, there's the sausage, liver and onion situation, which you champion.
Yeah.
But like beyond that, it isn't the tastiest food in the world. Venison liver though is quite nice.
Yeah, I need to try that.
Yeah, but like I don't sort of, the other ones I haven't had any heart or anything like that.
Yeah.
Or some kidney. I don't really like kidneys.
Yeah, my dad, that's one of the things my dad always used to have when he was growing up, stuffed heart. Sounds disgusting, doesn't it?
Well, they stuff it with couscous.
No, probably not, knowing my dad. Probably more meat, like black pudding or something like that. But yeah, mate, it's like so important.
Stuffed heart.
So find out your vegan
They do so. My mum used to eat tongue.
Tongue
on toast or something like that, like ox tongue. Apparently, it was. She's actually a pescatarian now.
Yeah, I don't know if the benefit. I don't know the benefits of tongue either.
Well, especially if you've got an unhealthy tongue, it'll repair it for you.
It's good for you if you got to. But yeah, the thing with organ meats is they're just so dense in micronutrients. They're like the most micronutrient dense foods on the planet.
Well, yeah.
And this is one of the things I wanted to bring up was like people always go, oh, I need to get my micronutrients in, and they always think about fruit and vegetables. But because of how fucked the soil health is in like all over the world now, because of like monocropping and the use of pesticides and herbicides, is like destroying our topsoil. That the vitamin mineral levels in like vegetables is like decreasing massively. I've seen some stuff that says it's like basically about 50% of what it was in the 1900s. So like when you think you're getting all these micronutrients when you're eating, you know, spinach and all that sort of stuff, you're actually getting a lot less than you think. And then the other thing as well, they've got what you call anti-nutrients in, so like oxalates, phytates, lectins. These are in plant foods and they bind with the nutrients and stop you from absorbing them.
What is a lectin?
So I don't know the details of it.
Is it a seed?
No, I think it's like a compound within.
Oh, right.
It's in certain plant foods. It's in like nuts.
Tomatoes.
And yeah, I'm not sure which specifically it is. Like they normally what people do is they just group those three things as in like their anti-nutrients, and they tend to be most plant foods or like nuts and stuff like that will have some composition of those in.
So why do you eat? Because you eat vegetables, right?
Yeah, I think there's an enjoyment level to it, and then at the same time, it's like, well, if you're eating fruit and vegetables from proper farming practices, you're not running into the same issues. Because, like, for example, if you buy from a local farm which properly organically farms their fruit and vegetable, don't use pesticides, herbicides and stuff, they're gonna have healthy soil. So the level of micronutrients in their fruit and veg is going to be higher than in buying it from supermarket. And then what you're not getting as well is you're not getting these pesticides, herbicides, fungicides into your system, which you would be getting if you're just buying like a bag of carrots from the supermarket.
Yeah.
Which I think those are like micro stressors to your system as well.
Where can you find somewhere that will sell? Is there anywhere so we're in Devon now? Is there anywhere around here that you would say is a good vegetable peddler?
So you've got Riverford Farm.
Yeah, Riverford. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where we get veg rocks from Riverford.
So they use no fungicides.
No, it's a proper like certified organic farm. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and then you've got like in terms of meat, like the organic argument can be a little bit. It can be a bit more confusing with meat, because like with organic meat, you could have an organic certified cow, but they've just fed it organic soy. So you're better off finding like a grass-fed animal that's just eating like what it would do naturally.
It's weird that with the organic thing, because I feel like with eggs, for example, there's like free-range eggs. But when I feel like it's all kind of like technicalities you can get. So like if you have like a window, like what's there in that pod in the hutch, then the chickens are free range. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're probably just exactly the same as the other like really bad chickens.
Yeah, and that's why it's so important.
Because organic now is like a business, isn't it? So when it's like you just find the loopholes you need to jump through in order for it to be considered organic, and then whereas the cows are probably, because this is a sort of a weird. This is like I suppose on like a deeper level. If you're eating. And this is something that if you said this to like probably most nutritionists, they'd say it was like completely woo-woo. But like if you're eating like a stressed animal's body, it's like you're almost like taking on their pain almost.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like a weird, which is like some people think that's complete bollocks, and most people probably will. But like I don't know, it's almost you're it's like not good.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know on a base level, like a very like a energetic level, I suppose.
Yeah, I completely, and that's the thing. It's like, science is incomplete, right? We're constantly discovering new stuff, and just because we haven't got the tools to measure, how eating. Say you have 2 cows, right, and one cow lives a healthy, happy life out in a field up until the point that it's shot to be eaten, and then you've got another one that comes from a feedlot that's like lived the most like stressed, aggressive life. We look at it in terms of like the science of what we know now, right? That feedlot cow, it would have been force fed, so it would have grown faster than it should have. Its belly would have grown faster than its legs. They would have pumped it with steroids so its leg doesn't collapse on itself. And like through the science that we know now, we'll go, okay, well, we're eating that cow, so we're consuming all that shit they fed the cow, you know, by the fact that meat's a bioaccumulator. But on top of that, obviously, you've got the happy cow versus the unhappy cow. What more is there in terms of stuff that we can't measure with the scientific tools we've got today? And like, for me, it makes logical sense that there's going to be some sort of energy transfer from that animal into the human being.
But it might not even be like one time, you know what I mean? Like maybe it's like a chronic thing. If that's all you're eating is this like, do you know, like if all you're eating is this just like terrible quality, maybe eventually it takes like a toll, like a real like slow build up in your system or something like that.
Yeah.
Because maybe I do actually believe this. I think it's about the human system in general. I think if you have like one mad night out on the piss, or if you eat like a real terrible meal or something like that, your body will, if it's just a one-time thing, I think your body will flush it out and you can just crack on.
Yeah,
I think that, sure. But I think it's when things start getting chronic, like you start drinking a bottle of wine every night or 2 bottles of wine every night, or like eating shit food all the time, the inflammation or whatever is stress or pain builds up in your body to the point where your body can't keep flushing out, and that's when you start getting these like quite serious issues coming on.
Yeah, for sure. And I completely agree with you on that, and I always give that analogy of the stress bucket. I think I've already said it on here, but like, and I always say this with nutrition, like that rule 80-20 is like the perfect rule. Like I love food, you love food as well. Like,
yeah, of course,
I love smashing a burger and chips every now and again, but there's no, you know, that's not my lifestyle when it comes to food. My lifestyle is eating like grass-fed meat, organic fruit and vegetables, eating carbs relative to my exercise level, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, will I go off piste and have a five? Well, you're the Five Guys guy, but will I have a burger every now and again? Yeah, sure.
Well, no, but you don't know what you like with burgers. The thing is, you have rules, you have set rules, carb for exercise and try and eat organic or whatever, but you don't know where you stand on burgers.
What do you mean?
Well, like, you don't know if you like them big or like them small. I've told you I like small burgers, small compact patties, which Five Guys deliver on. They do deliver on that.
No, mate, I like when it comes to like we're talking a takeout burger. Like, what's my favourite takeout burger here?
No, tell me what's your favourite burger.
Yeah, I like, so there's a place in Bristol called Asado. Have I taken you there?
No.
It's good, mate. It's just good quality. Like, you know, what I don't like.
Ooey.
Mate, the problem, so ooey, I've eaten a few ooeys, I admit. But you come out of ooey and you feel disgusting inside. Like, you know you've just done something wrong to your body.
Yeah.
And the older I get, the more like food, well, I suppose the healthier I've become, the more like food sensitive I've become. I eat a ooey, I'm not sleeping very well that night, guaranteed, and I feel a bit gross inside. And then,
would you not sleep well because you're thinking about?
No, I just think
what
like
you've done to yourself.
Like, I'll have like just an upset stomach, man. My stomach would just be like going, "What the fuck have you just done to me?" And it's going to be trying to like process that shit, and it's not going to allow for me to have a good night's sleep. So like, I like when I get a takeout burger, like I want something which is at least where I know like there's a bit of quality there. You know what I mean?
And that's what Asado,
yeah, it's good. I'll take you there next time we're in Bristol. But
like you have it with like pulled pork in it and that.
No, mate, I'm burger double patty, of course.
Obviously.
Cheese, bacon, maybe like some sauce in there as well. Like,
well, that's your lot.
Burger sauce. Yeah, that's me. I'm good. I'm happy with that.
That sounds really good. I'm actually quite hungry.
Mate,
like you talking about all these burgers, it's making me salivate.
While we're talking about this, what's your opinion on this? I think what makes a good burger joint into a great burger joint is whether they have chicken strips as a side. It's a side option. Honestly, that's what levels.
What? Because you want a burger, chips, and you want the side. You want the chicken strippers.
So this is my gripe with King Cow Cafe, right? The Thai place in. Shout out to King Cow. It's really, really good Thai place.
Really good food
in Exeter. If anyone wants to try, it's great. Lovely service.
I'll hook Josh you up with that spot.
But But this is my one problem with them, which I completely get, is they don't do sides because it's a tiny little place. I actually asked
I've never
them,
actually been there in person. Well, you spoke to them about the sides.
Yeah, I asked them about the sides, and they said they don't do sides because it's literally a tiny little kitchen as big as our setup here, and there's 5 of them in there, like, working like mad. She was like, yeah, we can't do sides because we haven't got the space for it. I was like, okay, fair enough. I understand where you're coming from. But when I have a meal where I'm, like, having a meal off, I want a main and a side.
2 sides.
No, but one side will do me. But like with that, if I was having burger, I'd want burger, chips, and chicken strips. Yeah,
and you don't share that food.
No,
that's your food.
No, to be fair, you've got me. I'm better at sharing now, I think, and that's partly due to you being so forceful about the sharing situation.
No, I think. The King Cow is very good. It's actually a shame it's closed in a minute. Talking all this food, honestly, I'm like, I feel I'm slobbering like a Saint Bernard. Like, I can't.
Mate, you've still got to give your, like, what? So what's your burger of choice? Just like Five Guys is your dream burger.
What I'm saying about Five Guys is it just ticks so many boxes. No, what turns a good burger joint into a great burger joint for me is the quality of milkshake. It's got to have, like, very, very good milkshake. And to be fair, Five Guys does.
Would you have milkshake with the meal or post the meal?
With meal.
Oh, animal.
What do you...
No, I'm joking.
Do you dip the chips in the milkshake?
No, mate, no.
So if you don't, this is what I mean. Like, you're not a very fruity geezer. You live...
Mate, I actually heard, weirdly enough, we're having this conversation. I listened to a podcast last night where they had this exact same conversation, what a burger was. And the one guy was just adamant the best burger is bun, burger, tomato sauce. That's it, nothing else. Which I think's madness, right?
No, I think that's madness. I think it's... See, what happened was, and this is the way of a lot of things, is the burger expanded to a point of I don't know. The size of the burger.
Yeah.
Expanded to the point of what's the word I'm looking for?
What, it becomes too big?
It became too big.
Yeah.
It became too big, and like it became like a star, like a red dwarf that eventually collapses back down to the size of a small dwarf. What's the second phase of whatever the star, or so we're told, stars. That's the life cycle of stars.
Yeah.
So the burgers, they had these gourmet burger joints that came together, and they had like onion rings, chicken strippers, chili, pulled pork, like peanut butter, jam, and Marmite, like in the one burger, held together with 2 sticks. They had to cut into 4 sections to eat, and everyone for a while loved that. 2012, I had a burger challenge. I did the burger challenge. I ate it. I beat the burger. Yeah, not my proudest day. That love for flaming grill. That was
poor quality meat.
Yeah,
that was feedlot meat.
That was feedlot meat.
Yeah,
but then the burger, eventually everyone got sick of it because they're too big and too much admin to eat, so they collapsed back down, and that's where we find ourselves with Five Guys.
Yeah, well, so the cut-off point for me is like you need to be able to fit in your mouth. Like, it can't be. And then the other thing as well, I'm not opposed to a smaller burger, but obviously you need multiple burgers, right? You don't just have one burger when it's like a Five Guys burger, or do you?
I have one burger, a hot dog, chips, and a milkshake.
Yeah, okay.
Will be my ideal order, but I don't do that the entire time. I went up normally after I've played games, and it was I don't know, like there was a period where playing games was different because we had no crowds. So because the match experience was normally I go to the game, finish, see my parents, then have like something to go and plan for, do something with them. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And there's a crowd there and stuff. It was a way different vibe. Whereas you used to just go to games and it was like a training session basically. And then you go back home. Yeah. And I used to order a Five Guys on the Deliveroo. I don't know. It was like a real special feeling. I used to film me with like real delight. Yeah. I'd see it preparing in the kitchen, heading over 25 minutes to be at the front door, and I don't know. It used to just make me really happy. Well, are you still going to do that now? Is that like a tradition? You're going to hold on to? Well, no, I don't actually. Our parents will come to the games, so we normally go and get. My mum likes Wagamama's, which you've told me is also unhealthy. I've seen a picture of well, it's just like. I literally saw a picture of a van outside Wagamama's with the back, the like shutter doors on the back of those big vans. Yeah. It's like on a lorry, like open, and it was just stacked floor to ceiling with canola oil, like just taking it in. So again, like this is the thing, mate, 80-20, like sometimes if you fancy Wagamama's Friday night, have a Wagamama's. No where do you stand on Wagamama's? Yeah, I'll eat it. Izzy likes it, but it's not one I wouldn't be my go-to. Yeah, you don't strike you as like... I'm actually surprised you like King Cow as much as you do. I do really like King Cow. I like Thai food, man. We spent a lot of time in Thailand. But
going back to your season, right? So besides the five guys post game, how have you changed now from what you were doing to like what's your?
I think I do I fast once a week, or maybe sometimes twice a week.
Yeah,
which I've never ever normally used to. And I don't know, like, cause
when you say fast, you 16/8 or longer.
That's what it'd be. So we have the meal on probably like 2 or 3 o'clock on a Wednesday, and then I'll have breakfast at like 10:30, 11 on the Thursday.
Yeah, okay.
So how long's that? It's like 17 hours.
Yeah.
17, 18 hours.
Yeah.
In the middle of the week, because we're told like there's no benefit to having a fast other than a calorie deficit, basically.
What do you mean we?
Like, I suppose as rugby players, if you ask most nutritionists, you said, is there any benefit to having a fast other than a calorie deficit? They would, I imagine, say no. But I don't know, it's weird. Like, I always feel when I start getting like past the point of just being incredibly hungry, I always feel like quite high energy and like quite up for doing stuff, and like I don't know, I just feel it kind of clears my system out a bit. I'm not really too sure why.
Well, if you think about it from like an ancestral perspective, and like this is like what I always bring back to nutrition, basically like all the issues that we're running into, or a lot of them, are caused by us eating out of congruence with how we were evolved to eat.
Yeah.
And if you think about like from an ancestral perspective, right, we would have gone like relatively long periods between meals on some occasions, and during those long periods, like you would have had to dial in, because like as a bloke you would have been like, oh, okay, I haven't eaten for 16 hours, I gotta go hunt. So you know, it's natural for our body to like, you know, that those energy levels to increase, maybe our focus increases, that sort of thing, because you're like starting to go hunt. And that's the thing for someone who's metabolically flexible, when you're in that phase of when you're getting into those like deeper levels of fasting, you're going to be starting to switch over using fat and ketones for fuel source. Ketones cross the blood-brain barrier well, so you can tell where the sort of cognition increases. And for like everyone listening, like the reason besides fasting to do the reason besides calorie deficit to follow fasting is autophagy, which is like regulated cell death. So like, you know, we all like create cells which are like, you know, people have cancerous cells and like negative cells in our body, and when we fast, our body starts cleaning them out because it's not processing food, so it starts like putting your energy elsewhere.
Is that, in layman's terms, is that a very easy way to say it? Like, if your body doesn't have to digest food, it's one less thing it has to do, so it can like basically go like full steam on other areas and that's just basically an easy way of like saying that.
Yeah.
So I've spoken to that about people, and they say that's just phooey. Baloney.
Well, what I'll do is I'll link some articles in the show notes.
I always quite like them to sit here and hear it from the horse's mouth.
Yeah.
Well, and then just I suppose like the days before the game, I used to just kind of see as like open season to just take on a lot of calories, empty calories.
Yeah.
And now I just kind of suppose I still do have like a little bowl of pudding the night before I play, but like I used to eat so much white pasta. I don't know what it is about white pasta. You can like it does in just ridiculous things to me. I do really enjoy eating it, like, but I don't think it's
like what, like Eddie Hall style, like big bowl with just covered in ketchup
with mayonnaise. What else? Peanut butter. But honestly, I used to go home from the Friday night meals and just like on it, the farting just it went a whole different level up. Like, it was just ridiculous. And I just sort of thought, and now it doesn't happen so much. So, and then what else? And then I think just the less processed food and stuff like that. But as I said, whenever I know when things start getting out of like whack, because I feel like way duller, like I won't feel as clean, energy, and also my guts will just being like tatters.
Yeah.
Like not in a good way at all.
Yeah.
So I suppose that's sort of been like the biggest changes I've made.
Just like it's basically less processed food, better quality meats. You like buying organic fruit and vegetables.
Yeah, and then I'm trying to eat. Is paleo where you only eat as you can see it?
Yeah, paleo's like ancestral eating. Yeah, like
I suppose whatever. Like just if you can see the thing you're eating is like as close as it would be to when it comes out of the ground or picked or whatever like that. That's normally what I generally try and do.
Yeah. Then the organ meats, the oysters, and like bone broth. That's something we haven't spoken about.
The bone broth, yeah.
It's a massive one.
I think it's the bone broth is actually it's quite warming quite
Yeah.
soothing drinking a bowl of bone broth.
Yeah, and for athletes, is like, because obviously it's full of like collagen, glycine, all this stuff, like what you create your tendons, ligaments, connective tissue from. Well, that's one thing I've noticed from like including bone broth regularly in my diet. Like I get way less niggles when it comes to training.
But Alec actually, because I lived with Alec for a number of years, and he was way ahead of the curve with the bone broth. He used to cook like a big lamb knuckle in this slow cooker, and it made the house smell quite
Stink
quite
the
strong.
house
Yeah,
out.
it wasn't. It's not. I would always advise people buy pre-packaged bone broth. Don't make it yourself because it stinks.
Yeah, well, actually, if anyone's interested, there's my mate Mo, who we've got an episode coming up with on the podcast. Like, he sells homemade bone broth, and it is unreal.
No, that is good actually.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Can't keep it too long though.
Yeah,
It doesn't have great shelf life.
It's free. That's what I mean. It's fresh, mate. Just full of preservatives. Like, it's fresh,
Need some
organic
stabilizers
food.
and some preservatives in there to maintain its shelf life.
You got 3 days. You got to smash that stuff down in.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to eat off bone broth.
No,
But then
gross.
it's also like the kefir stuff.
Yeah.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah, kefir. Well, all that stuff, all that like fermented stuff. So you've got like
Yeah.
kimchi, sauerkraut, kombucha if you get proper ones and stuff. It's just like it's all been fermented. It's like full of like positive bacteria, and this is going back. You know, another thing for gut health. It's like a lot of people's guts are completely out of whack. And, you know, we create, and this is the problem with like loads of people saying, oh, I've got brain fog and this sort of thing. Like we create, I think it's like 90% of, it's either neurotransmitters in general or it's the neurotransmitter serotonin, but it's like within our gut. And there's like the gut brain axis, which sends like we basically, our mood begins in our gut and like goes to our brain. So like when people are complaining of brain fog and stuff like that, often they'll have gut issues. And you're like the bone broth and all these things are like brilliant for gut health.
But this is a weird one, you know, like, because obviously there's the expression always trust your gut.
Yeah.
Do you think that because we've almost, it's like you have kind of a sixth sense, like, you know, your instinct, your gut feeling.
Yeah.
Do you feel that can get like dulled if your gut health's out of whack in like a weird way?
Yeah, 100%.
But I suppose as well because we're led to believe that that's all just bollocks.
Yeah, it's
And
all
it's
woo-woo science.
Yeah, it's all like woo, doesn't it? But I'm like, nah, because it's actually weird. I've never had a gut feeling that hasn't been correct. Ever in my life.
Yeah.
Like if you feel something's wrong or you feel suspicious about something strongly, and it's like a switch goes in your head. I honestly, 100% of the time, I've never had a feeling like that, and it's been off.
Have you ever defied those feelings, overridden it, and then something's gone badly for you? That you're happy to share.
Yes. And no, not that I'm happy to share. No, no, I mean, I've always, if ever in my head, and I've been, I have quite a suspicious mind, so some things I have been wrong about. My suspicions have been incorrect. But anything I've been like, nah, there's something not right about that, and it's just like the spidey sense starts tingling. It's been right.
Yeah.
And I don't know if maybe we're a combination of the fact we're led to believe that it doesn't actually really exist and it's all just wrong, and maybe if like your gut health's completely out of whack, you're not like completely aligned.
Yeah.
So you don't have those sort of like, I don't know, the feeling is you're numbed to those feelings.
Yeah, for sure, mate. But I think generally, like people, if your vessel is like, well, if you're like human, your being is like is out of whack in terms of like not just gut health, but you know, if you're frying yourself with technology,
Yeah.
you know, if you're inflamed, 'cause you're eating bad food, if you're not sleeping, all that sort of stuff, it's like there's like the obvious science that we know today in terms of like your IQ decreases when you don't sleep and all that sort of stuff, but you just get out of whack in terms of your intuition.
Yeah.
And obviously we haven't got tools to measure that yet, but like I think that's something that's going to come in the future where it's going to be like a whole new layer to science where we start like understanding that with like quantum physics and all the craziness going on there.
But the thing is you, and you're sort of talking about the future there, do you think the future of how is the future of the industry going to work, the food industry, if everything now is on this sort of like downward slope?
Yeah.
Then do you see a feasible way in which it can get brought back up, in which it can get improved?
Yeah, like ultimately it starts with the consumer, because like I don't think we can personally, just from track history, I don't think we can like look to, you know, the legislators to make decisions which are like going to positively start impacting, you know, the soil. This is something. So you've watched Vikings, right? Or you're watching Vikings, that program. When have you got to the bit where they get to America yet? I'm not gonna.
No.
No, England. When they go to
America?
England. When they go to England.
That's
sorry.
first season.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
First episode
So
even.
when they go to England,
Yeah.
and he like discovers it, and the thing is, he picks up the soil,
America. That'll take a while. One of them wrote it.
right? He picks up the soil, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like buzzing about how like fertile the soil is. Like for the vast majority of human existence, that would have been so important to us. Like the soil health would have been like, fuck, we need the soil health good because we need to be able to feed our families, to grow crops, all that sort of stuff. Everything, life would have relied on that. And then we've got to this point where we're so disconnected with the earth that they're just like, yeah, fucking monocrops, big fields of the same stuff, pouring on the pesticides, just like destroying the soil. Like I've seen estimates and I know these things get chucked around all the time, but like I saw something I was reading this morning actually say we've got like 50 years left of like quality topsoil, and I just don't think we're going to get.
And then it's done. Like.
Yeah, and then it's fucked, and then you're going to have like, you know, the nutrition, as we're seeing the micronutrient levels in foods decline, they're just going to further and further decline until like, you know, there's basically nothing in these foods. And, you know, what impact's that going to have on the information we're putting into our body in terms of like everyone's going to be deficient in all these micronutrients, and then, you know, all these functions like, you know, we need vitamin A to build our gut lining, for vision, like all these things that we take for granted are going to start deteriorating.
Yeah.
And like like I said, I don't think we can rely on like legislators to like bring in rules which is going to protect that. Like I think as individuals we need to start voting with our money by like buying from, you know, proper regenerative agricultural practices. And like, and with food, like people always say to me, oh, it's, you know, it's so expensive to buy like organic fruit and veg and to buy like meat from proper farms, but it's an investment in your health, right? Like you can create that investment now and then get into like a later stage of your life where you're like super healthy as an older individual, or you can not do that and get later into your life and run into all these health problems. You're going to end up spending that money on the back end trying to fix yourself, and you know, you're not going to be having a good quality of life.
But I do feel that, as in like, or maybe in Western society, you know, or it's the only thing I can really speak with any experience on is like, you're sort of, if you put across the idea that your health is basically 100% your responsibility, and you say and you give yourself like a way higher percentage chance of not running into quite serious health implications when you get a bit older, you're basically told like you're a bit of an idiot for saying, they'll say, well, what about this person here who, you know, is in a look how sick he is. It's like, well, yeah, obviously there are outliers of people who get sick and they're very healthy individuals, and that's really, really sad, but you give yourself the best opportunity, I suppose, of being healthy.
Yeah, and
as you get older.
Yeah, and it's like like you said, it's taking sovereignty over that, right? Like we live in a culture which outsources fucking everything possible.
Yeah.
And like with your health, it's like, oh well, actually, I'll just eat whatever the fuck I want. I'll smoke, I'll drink, I'll do all this stuff, and not really think about it. And then you get into later in life and you develop some disease, and you just like go to the doctors and like, oh, fix me, please. And that's like how a lot of people live their life. But it's like we need to change how we think about health. Like, your health is your responsibility, and if you eat the right things now, you manage your stress levels, you sleep right, you exercise, you do all these things, it's not rocket science, then you're not going to run into those issues further down the line.
100%, man.
100%. Right, we've just hit just under like 30 seconds under an hour, so should we can it now?
Yeah, I reckon that's a good place to can it. Do you want to shout out Ape?
Yeah, so my website's apenutrition.co.uk. We launched our nose to tail bundle today, which is colostrum and beef organs. And the best place to get me is Instagram, so ape_nutrition if you've got any questions or anything like that. And also for the altered state stuff, please, if you like what we're doing, subscribe to YouTube, give us a follow on Spotify. Harry, do you want to?
Yeah, at Harry Williams. No, it's not. It's at Harry.Williams 91 for now, slightly more regular posting. And also, now we've got the thing rolling, hopefully getting a bit more traction. If there's any like local businesses in the Exeter area who want like a free shout out on a budding podcast, just let us know and we'll shout out for you. If we agree with it, if we're aligned with it.
Yes. Yeah.
Don't do it if it's something dark like.
All right, sweet
Obviously,
guys.
we'll take a view on the business, but yeah, hold tight, everyone.
Thanks for listening.